This is Union United Methodist Church, and for over 150 years, people have gathered here for Christian fellowship and to worship God. The church building was erected in 1848 on 144 square rods donated by the John Harsh family in 1840. Prior to the church being erected, the land was used by the Harsh family as a family burial ground. When United Church was established, it was built by the United Brethren denomination. Reverend Clarence Thompson gives us the following history on the United Brethren.
Union United Methodist Church, of course, was established as a United Brethren Church, and I think there were maybe, possibly even conferences held in the church. I see that name Union in some of the early history of conferences here in this area, so it's a good chance that the United Brethren conferences for the Scioto Conference, as it was called, a pretty large area here in this part of the country, were held here in Hocking County and possibly sometimes at Union's church. And of course, as time went on, we have the United Brethren becoming the Evangelical United Brethren. This was in 1946. Very close, very similar in their doctrine. I think there was no problem whatsoever in sorting out what their beliefs or their doctrine would be. But then as time went on, the Methodist Church and the EUB Church began looking at their differences, which were very few, and decided that they would work toward uniting to become the United Methodist Church. This took place in 1968, but there again there were a lot of meetings, a lot of conferencing went on up to that point. But again, when we think back at the beginnings, both in Methodism in this country and the United Brethren in this country, they were working very close together. About the only thing that separated them was the language barrier. At that time, along with the English-speaking people, there were also a lot of German-speaking people. Naturally, they brought with them their religion. The Germans, a lot of them were Lutheran or the German Reformed. The only picture it, I guess, is that the able-bodied men and probably some women who would come together and build it right there, using the know-how of the ones that were going to be a part of that congregation. And I think that most of the churches in this area originally started as log structures, not always, because being German, it was probably a log structure. Some of the English people, I think that they used more of a frame structure, but I think it was the German, the log cabins, I think, was started with their German population, and so I imagine it was. I know, and that when they did the work on the church here some time ago, and they were up in the attic part of it, they were amazed at the old beams that are still up there, and how well that thing was put together, how well the original structure. And I guess no one knows for sure whether that was the original structure that went up in 1848. Possibly it was. That's still the same main structure that we've added on to and kept in repair over the years.
George Barkhurst explains the early structure of the church.
The original church was a square building without this entryway, the vestibule, built onto it. Todd, as I understand, going to show you a picture later on of the structure upstairs in the attic. The church was built by some carpenter who we don't know, but whoever it was he was an extreme craftsman. The structure in the attic is built like 3 big trusses, or maybe there's 4 big trusses, but they are built that the truss supports the center part of the beam that goes across, the level beam that goes across. These are constructed so that the pieces that go across and lay level, and then the pieces that come down this way are a sawtooth construction. They've got a sawtooth construction on this level piece, and the piece coming down here has a sawtooth